Good evening. I'm Joey Reese, part of Team Waynesville, and welcome to the first ever that I am aware of virtual town hall for Waynesville politics. We have received an overwhelming response from the public sending in questions. We received 20 different questions. We will start with them, and these are questions that have been submitted through the portal. We'll answer those, and if we have time, we'll certainly answer questions that are sent in during this or from the audience.
Yep.
All right. The first question is from a submission is, I would like to know what prompted you to run for office.
What prompted me to run for office is that I have been a outspoken person for about 4 years at the town and county meetings, and a little over a year ago I was speaking out on a presentation done by the Waynesville Police Department at the Hazelwood School that none of our current board attended, and I was using the stats that was presented there by the police department, and Mayor Gary Caldwell made it a point to say the things I was saying was untrue in a public meeting, and I thought, okay, enough.
Ladies first. Okay. My name is Stephanie Sutton, and the reason that I decided to run is because I think that real change starts at the local level. And I, as a business owner in the town and as a homeowner in the town, a tax-paying citizen, I felt really disconnected from our current council. I didn't feel like the vision they had for Waynesville matched the vision that my family has, and most of the friends and acquaintances I have. There was just a mismatch and a disconnect there, and so I got involved in local politics about maybe 4 years ago as I started to see things in the community that were concerning to me, and it made me kind of peel back some layers and look a little deeper into things. I just wanted to be part of the solution, so that's why I'm running.
Once again, Joey Reese, I'm running for mayor. I ran for alderman in 2019, lost by 60 votes. I had just come back. My career had taken me away from Haywood County for 40 years. I came back. I didn't like what I saw. It was not the Maybe area I grew up in. It was we were starting to resemble Asheville with all the problems they have. I was considering it, and public safety is what I did my entire life. I'm a 40-year cop. As I was considering this, I had not made my mind up yet, but one morning my wife went out to walk one of her dogs, and she chose to walk uptown about 9 o'clock because it's normally peaceful and it's quiet. And it's a gorgeous place. It's a gorgeous walk. And you've got to understand, I was a career DEA guy. I dealt with some mean folks, some evil people actually. And she was with me the whole time. She does not scare easily. She's not timid. She came home and was describing to me that she was walking the dog up by the courthouse, and one of our new homeless, you guys may have seen him, he wears brown all the time, carries something on his shoulder. Two ladies had walked out of the coffee shop walking up toward the courthouse, obviously dressed nicely, headed to work. This guy runs out to the middle of the street, he's yelling, "What the F are you looking at? What the F are you looking at the top of his voice. And she comes home and she's telling me about this, and she starts crying and says, "I don't feel safe here anymore. Not on my watch." That's why I'm running.
My name's Trey Franklin. I'm a retired state trooper. The reason I decided to run is just I grew up here in Haywood County. I have been here almost all my life. And the small town values of Waynesville have changed, and with me still raising 2 kids in the school system here, the values and the changes that are and we need some change, but not the change that they're going with now.
Thank you. So the next question is, are the members of Team Waynesville aware that many of the town's departments are short-staffed and in need of more workers? How can the town council help in recruiting more employees for careers? Waynesville is a very favorable place to live and raise a family. How can you attract skilled people?
You gentlemen can start with this one.
Well, we've talked to a lot of the town employees actually, and there's a common theme. They've got great benefits. The pay needs to be raised, but the complaint we hear over and over again is there's no equity in the way people are treated. How you're treated depends on who you are and who you know. Like two people could have the same issue at work, and one would be treated differently than the other depending on who that person was. That fosters discontent. You certainly aren't proud of going to work. We've heard that's easy to fix. You've got to have leadership, and you've got to pay attention. A lot of these folks have never seen or talked to one of the town officials. It's amazing that the disconnect. It's almost like they're there to do our bidding to serve us, but maybe not good enough to listen to their opinions and care what they think about. So.
Trey?
No, I agree. I don't have anything to add to that.
The main thing that I feel is, yes, we do have to raise the pay, and we have to let the town workers know that we appreciate them for what they do and how they do it. They never get a word of encouragement from what we are being told when we interact with them. They are treated as a number. That has to stop. They are individuals.
Yeah, the main thing that I have to say about that is just the morale. From the employees we've talked to, there's just a feeling that they're just not appreciated, that they're not heard. They never really see any of the town council members or the, town administration. Obviously pay, we want to have competitive pay, but we have a lot of really, really smart, talented folks that live in Haywood County, that drive to Asheville or other places to work. So, we need to lure them back, and a lot of it has to do with appreciation, morale, and good pay. I was talking to a guy the other day who actually has worked for the town for the past 24 years. He has such a great attitude, and he was, telling me how he started working on the back of a trash truck and, did that, and he's worked in about every department that the town has. And he said, I remember like 20 years ago, there was so much pride and community amongst the town workers. And he said, if I was driving down the road and I saw a bag of trash on the side of the road, I'd pull over and pick it up just because I cared about what my community looked like and I just wanted to do a good job. So I think we can get back to that. People want to feel appreciated, and they want to be proud of where they work and proud of where they live. And so I think once we lay the groundwork for that, then our current town employees can just recruit their friends to work. Right now, that's not happening. It's just not.
And let me just close. I will say this, and I've thought about this a lot. If I'm elected, I pledge I will spend a shift with every single solitary department. It'll be hard to keep me out of a police car. I'll just tell you that right now. I miss it. I'll be at the fire department. I'll do a shift on the trash truck. That's what leaders do. Leaders don't sit up in the ivory tower and dictate. They get down with the people, and that's we'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Waynesville and Haywood County was once a nicely sliced economical pie. Almost identical portions of industrial, agricultural, and tourism. Those days appear to be over. But if elected, would Team Waynesville be willing to partner with Haywood County and Canton to secure more jobs through recruiting an industrial company?
I can answer that. Yes, we would be willing to work with them. We do talk with them often. Excuse me. I talk to a lot of the officials in Raleigh on a fairly regular basis. There is things that Raleigh can help the town of Waynesville with. We only have to ask them for them. We have to put aside the D and the R. We have to look at what's best for the citizens and the community. No matter who we need to talk with, we need to talk with them and work with them.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. There's a disconnect, I think, between the current town officials and our elected state officials. They don't talk. There's things that they could ask for and get, but they do not. I think it has to do with the political parties. I would offer this. I think that's how that's the only way we'll solve our problems, is by working as a community. We can't isolate ourselves just as a town. Canton's going through some tough times. We ought to be there for them. They ought to be there for us. Zeb Smathers, although he's certainly of a different political party, I like the kid. He's good. I ought to be meeting with him every day if I were the mayor. Not every day, once a week, once a month. They've never met. They've never had meetings together. Why is that? Why do you silo yourself? When you silo yourself is when progress stops. We got to do this as a community, not just as Waynesville.
Yeah, and to your point, Joey, with that, I was talking to a couple of the county commissioners, and they have actually worked in collaboration with the town of Canton since the mill closed, and they were bragging about how nice that collaboration has been, and said we need to work with all the municipalities, and I totally agree with that. We're the town of Waynesville, but we're a big part of Haywood County, so we need to be working with county commissioners, with local elected officials in Raleigh. One thing that Mark Robinson said the other day, he came to a fundraiser here in Haywood County, and we got to talk to him, and he talked a lot about how there's so much money at the federal and state level that he would love to bring into the western part of the state, the rural part of the state, and we have to have that, to create jobs here. We're not Raleigh, we're not a big city, but there is money out there. We just have to reach out and bridge that gap and work with them.
Communication, that's the big word, communication.
Yeah, we're going to have to work with them, because if you look at Haywood County in a whole, our kids that are in high school, middle school right now, they have nothing here as far as a career, industry-wise. It's all gone. Baco's gone. Now the mill's gone. So we're going to have to work together with our state and local officials just to find a way to bring in some kind of jobs for these kids, or they're going to be gone.
We'll never have another Champion or a Daco or a Welco, but we could have small enterprises that might employ 50 or 100 people. They could be several of those come to this community. We need to look at that. We need to pursue it. And if anything, offer those people a tax break to get them in our communities, to give our kids the opportunity to make a living wage and stay here in our town.
Okay, thank you. So if elected, will it be a priority to visit each town department and speak with employees, and will you be taking an active role, I know Joey, you said you would, in what goes on in Waynesville, or just attending board meetings?
I can say for myself, if elected November 8th, I'll be at one of them. If not all of them, I'm going to visit all of them.
And I can say I despise meetings. I'd much rather be out with the people. So yes, they see me often now, and they'll see me more then.
Yep, absolutely. I agree, yeah.
All right, what are your plans for the homeless issue and drug activity going on around and in our city?
Somebody else want to go first for a change?
I'll go first on that. Homelessness issue is what got my attention about 4 years ago. Back when the soup kitchen was in Frog Level, that's the way I go to work. I go down Silver Springs Road through Frog Level, to my business every day. And if you guys will remember about 4 years ago what Frog Level looked like, it was a depressed area. We've done a great job revitalizing that, but they've just displaced the homeless folks that were down there into West Waynesville. I'm just going to say I call a lot of this an unintended consequence of Pathways. Pathways has done some really great things in our community, and we've met several people when we've been canvassing. I can think of a handful off the top of my head of folks that we've met that have benefited from Pathways, that have spent time there. They're living independently now, and so that's been a great thing. But as Pathways expanded their services, it started drawing more and more people in, and they're not all locals. For the longest time, the town and Pathways would tell us, these are all local Haywood County people, and they're just not. That's just not true. They come from all over. We don't mind helping the homeless, but we cannot our town of our size cannot sustain just dozens and dozens and hundreds at times coming in. I mean, you guys, if you're around town, you look around, you see people every week that you've never seen before, you know? So what I would say to that is figure out where the influx is coming from. You know, who is drawing them here? Why are they being asked to come here? Because they don't just show up, you know, like they just happen to get off on exit, 100. They're looking for services. There's a lot of nonprofits here, a lot of enabling that goes on, so they come. So I think we have to differentiate the folks that just choose this lifestyle versus the people that just need a hand up. And I think we should look at some faith-based solutions for that, depend more on our churches and charities, and it not be such a responsibility for government.
Well, we've relied so closely on the harm reduction model as of late, and this thing's been tried everywhere in the country, and everywhere it's been tried, it has failed miserably and caused the blight of inner cities, every Seattle, New York, L.A., San Fran, Asheville, close to us. And harm reduction, the premise is you don't try to change the behavior. You just make the behavior safer. So we don't care if you shoot heroin or fentanyl, just as long as you don't get AIDS from it. There's no accountability. There's no incentive to change. It really enables them to just keep doing what they're doing. We can't do that anymore. This is not my original quote, but a good friend of mine that happens to be a politician here in this county, happens to be in law enforcement actually too, told me, he said, I was talking to some folks the other day, and I've ended up talking to lots of families that have lost their kids. And I've never had one say, boy, at least they die with a clean needle in their arm. So,
Yeah.
and we've got to separate these folks from the truly homeless, the mentally ill, and addicted, and the criminals. There are some that are just pure criminals. Pure vagrant criminals go from one city to the other. And speaking of this, and we'll get some pushback on, oh no,
Yeah.
we'll hear still after tonight, no, they're all from here. We were canvassing just this week, matter of fact, and we talked to a subject, I won't even say whether it's a man or a woman, that currently volunteers at one of these places. Oh, are they from here? And this person said, absolutely not. Said, I see different people every week. And when I asked them, well, where are you from? He says, from all over. Well, how did you get here? He said, the majority of them said, well, I came with a bus ticket. Mm-hmm. So we got to cut that pipeline off and take care of our own and hold our own accountable for what they do. The Veteran Services of North Carolina, they do a great job. You won't see a ton of homeless veterans around here. They take care of them. They actually they intervene early if they can. They're given 3 strikes before they're out. They hold them accountable for what they do. They provide them a place to stay, and they stick with them for 18 months. Their record of recidivism is very, very low. These guys are doing a great job. We need to do more things like that and get away from the harm reduction model.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that there was an opportunity for any of our individuals with any type of addiction to go to a facility down east for treatment that would have been provided to them for up to probably a year or longer. They would be held accountable. No one was interested in that. A lot of the excuses is, well, they don't want to be away from their family. I'm sorry, that's a lie. They don't want help because they get everything they needed handed to them in this small community, while this small community is just deteriorating more and more every day. Go down to the wastewater sewage treatment plant and ask them on average how many needles come through the sewer system. You don't want to do that, people, I'm telling you. And don't let them tell you that it's a diabetic that's flushing their needles. No, it's not. I've actually seen the manhole covers being lifted and containers of needles being dumped into the sewer system inside the town of Waynesville. I have seen it, I have witnessed it. Needles are not as big a problem as they was a year ago. They have slowed down, but they're still a prevalent problem.
Thank you. There's a lot of questions about the high-density housing and growth. So this submission says, I'm concerned about the high-density housing going in and around Waynesville. Has there been appropriate infrastructure planning to support what has already been approved and initiated? Also, what is Team Waynesville's position on future high-density housing petitions?
I'll go first. I hate high-density housing solutions. Number one, this is a small community. We do not need to fill every little square space with apartment buildings. We do not have jobs for these people. The local people cannot afford these apartments that's being built. So anyone that does come to live in them, the majority are going to be working somewhere else out of town. And trust me, they're not going to be spending their hard-earned money in a little town that's full of nothing but traffic. And if you call your doctor, your vet, how long does it take you to get an appointment now? Wait till this time next year.
I would add to that, the lack of affordable housing is still an ongoing issue. And just to share, I shared this with, before the virtual town hall, we had some folks in here from local precincts asking some questions, and I'll share, with folks on the virtual event what we talked about then. So at an Issues and Eggs chamber event a couple weeks ago, all of us were asked to go and speak for 3 minutes on our platforms. And because I couldn't wrap my head around why is the current town council approving all of this high-density housing? I mean, we can really, with what's already been approved, will increase our population by 25%. And that's just in a few short years. So Chuck Dixon actually said, we have two options. We can either grow or we'll have to raise your taxes. So this is their solution, at least on the surface level, of not raising taxes, but yet we're going to increase the population of our small town. And this is just going to take from our services. Like you said, fire, rescue, the roads, the infrastructure can't handle it. Traffic is bad now in the summer and in the fall. I don't even want to imagine what that's going to be like. Just the one apartment complex here on Russ Avenue will have, 170 units? So do the math on that. 2 cars per unit, that's just there. We have over 800 single living units that have been approved for the town limits.
And they would be being built if the state had not put a moratorium on it, because the sewer system, part of the infrastructure, a big part, can't handle it. It's such a flawed idea and concept that, like I say, go to Smart Growth America. That's what drives these folks. That's their development plan, and it's like I say, it's you'll look at their goals. Number one goal is climate change. Number 2 is racial equity. So how are they doing on that? They think that you infill, build up, not out. Pack people in, and you have these utopian communities where everybody rides bikes to work or walks to work. One, there's no jobs in town to walk to, and that doesn't work. Now it might possibly work in a large urban city. It doesn't work here. Folks are not, we're going to walk to work if like tonight. It just won't work. These people let their ideology override their common sense. This is a far-left program. Once again, it fails everywhere they try it, but we're going to double down on and do it, because that's what we should do. The infrastructure issue. There's not a street in this town that doesn't need paving. There's not a sidewalk that doesn't need repair. Just look around. And they're ignoring that, letting that go, and talking about growing. Do they not understand that for every individual that comes, for every single bit of growth we get, it costs more in infrastructure with roads, cops, water, sewer, schools, services? That's not you don't gain ground by doing that. At the very best, you stay even, and I would argue that you fall further behind.
Well, you also diminish the quality of life for your town, for the people living there. And again, this is a prime example of the disconnect that's there. I have not met one person that is in agreement with this, huge expansion of growth here. I mean, obviously we can grow smart, over time as the infrastructure can handle it, but our priority would be to get the infrastructure in working order and improve it before we want to keep expanding onto that. And again, just talk to your constituents. No one wants this.
That was by far, when we were canvassing the community, their pitch was, what are your issues? You'd get what are, and it would be these apartments. You wouldn't even finish the sentence. It was overwhelmingly the number one concern of people. But
Yeah.
these folks are doubling down on them.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. This person said, I agree that transparency is key to a government being run by and for the people. I think many Waynesville residents think covert deals are being made behind closed doors. What are Team Waynesville's plans to ensure that the residents of Waynesville can trust this new group of representatives to keep them well informed?
If this new team of representatives are elected, we have generally just had small conversations. Today we would give a update that would go on the town website as to what has transpired during that week.
And in addition to live streaming, that was one of the initiatives that we had kind of planned out for transparency, is live streaming the meetings. We've asked for that, from our town board for years now, and there's been so many excuses. The cost was too much. They even talked, I read an article, I think it was back in February, out of the Mountaineer about this, and they were worried that the public comment would be too contentious and people didn't need to hear that. I mean, public comment is live streamed, the county commissioners meeting, and I know at the school board meeting, so that's a must. I do want to say about 3 weeks ago, so we're like 6 weeks at that point away from the election, and they decided to live stream the meeting. So good, I'm glad. Everybody needs to know what's going on, so obviously we would want to continue that. And we've even talked about doing quarterly meetings where we just go to different areas of town and neighborhoods and make ourselves available to the public, because not everybody wants to come and give public comment. There's a podium and a microphone. It can be a little intimidating for folks, but we just want to talk to our neighbors routinely and regularly. So that's something that we would do, as quarterly meetings as well.
And again, a great example of this dovetails back into the housing. Prior to this last action by the board, there was a quasi-judicial system where they considered new developments. Now, quasi-judicial meant that the public had a voice. Normally, there was a public hearing. Well, during COVID, these folks met, and they are very, very developer friendly. So they've decided now that, and voted on and passed, it is no longer quasi-judicial. It is a rubber stamp from the planning board and then a rubber stamp from the board, and that's it. The public has no input.
All right, so this is about electricity, energy, and water, and the billing cycles. It says the town of Waynesville currently buys electricity from Duke Energy. Then the cost is determined and distributed to Waynesville households. Is this the most efficient way? Could the cost be lower if the town was no longer a middleman? And many town water customers have had inconsistency in their water bills. Sometimes it's the amount, sometimes it's shorter or longer billing cycles. How can this be handled better?
Trey, do you want to start with that since you experienced this? Both of you
Well,
guys
I think
did.
we're just going to have to get in. We'll have to be elected and get in there and see what kind of systems they've got. One, for my power bill, I got one in, I think I paid it August the 22nd. The entire month of November, I didn't get one. And October 1st. And probably so, there's probably another one coming too. Because in the past, I have got 2 in 1 month. So I don't know what kind of cycle they run on. They keep saying there's something in the computer system that they've got now, but there's got to be some kind of change soon. And we've talked during canvassing that their water bills will be this amount this month. Next month it'll be 3 times what it was, and then the next month it'll be back down. And so
We actually get our power from Santee Cooper now, not Duke. They underbid Duke the last time. And this has been going on for a long time. It was once considered Waynesville's cash cow back years ago, because we would get power from Duke Energy, I think, at a reduced rate. We could still sell the power to the citizens at a reduced rate, but make money. We're lucky to have the little electric department, I'll say that, and it's small. They are down several positions now because Santee Cooper is coming in and paying our trained folks $20 more an hour to leave and go, so they're going. But I remember during the snow of, the early 2000s, I guess, or no, it was early 90s, I guess, where there was 3 feet of snow in everybody's yard. My mom never lost power here. And we're lucky to have those folks. But let's get back to the billing issue. I've had some very, very interesting experiences with that. This last week, I, like Trey, did not receive a bill. Nobody on our street received a bill for last month. Now, we got one October, around 1st of October, we got one, and it was due 2 weeks later. They cut my power off. They cut my neighbor's power off with no. It may be because I'm running for mayor. I kind of wonder sometimes. But
that's what I thought.
Well, I wonder. But they cut my power off, her power off. Nobody got a notice of disconnect or anything. Folks, it's 2023. If we can't beat this with the people that are in there, we need to change the people. I mean, that's ridiculous. But yeah. I got them cut back on, and the neighbors, and they gave everybody till Monday. So, and that was Friday when I was up there. It's ridiculous.
I agree. We have to do something with our billing system. There is so many citizens that live in the town of Waynesville that are on oxygen and other life-saving machines. If their power was to get off with no warning, they're dead. Or they're going to suffer a medical emergency. There has to be a better way to manage the billing. I mean, if they're doing it in cycles and someone's been paying their bill regularly and all of a sudden they're not paying, somebody needs to check and see what's going on. The person, they could have passed away, but we need to do better as a town.
Yeah, and I would say about that, I've been in town meetings where like a little lady came up there once to give public comment because she was so distressed about her water bill. Like I think 2 months out of the year she gets double billed, and she did not understand why. And she pays her bills religiously, keeps track of them, and so she went to ask about it, and she said, I couldn't understand what the girl was telling me. So again, just feeling like there's so many people like that we've met, again, canvassing, and a lot of these folks are on fixed incomes, and so if they get double billed, that's a really big deal for them. So, and they feel like, the person they're talking to just can't answer their questions or can't explain it, so it's this big frustrating ongoing issue, and we've heard that from so many people. A lot of inconsistencies with water bills, so it doesn't seem like it can be that hard to streamline that service, and that would be a top priority of ours because it really does affect so many. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So this question was submitted via the online form, and it's also being asked in the comments on the live feed. So this person said, I am positive that all of you are aware of a certain opponent who bought the URL for Team Waynesville, teamwaynesville.com, and initially pointed it to his own fundraising page on his website, even though he's well aware that you guys have been campaigning as Team Waynesville since the beginning. And now he has pointed that URL to an LGBTQ plus nonprofit website. So anybody that's curious about that can type in teamwaynesville.com and see where this elected official has pointed your URL. Why have you not called this unethical behavior out already?
Well, we've talked about this quite a bit. Once this was brought to our attention, we had that discussion. Do we make a big deal about this? As a team, our top
I'm sorry, people are saying they're having a hard time hearing me ask the question. So if you can just restate the situation, the question.
Okay, so the question was, one of the current sitting town council members, and his name is Anthony Sutton, he and his team, I guess, created, they bought the Team Waynesville URL. We had not purchased that yet, but we've been running as Team Waynesville, since the summer, since the beginning. So I don't know, it's probably been about a month ago. They purchased that and then instructed people to go to teamwaynesville.com, which was a link to Anthony's donation page for his campaign. So people would type in teamwaynesville.com and it would then redirect them to his campaign page requesting donations. So we made kind of a collective decision to focus on more important things as far as it relates to voters, but I do think it needs to be recognized that was an intentional. He participated in this. He guided his supporters of how to follow the link to make sure it works. So I'm not sure if it was a silly joke. It was certainly dishonest, I think, and it certainly shed a lot of light on the kind of ethics he has as a person and as someone who was elected by constituents to serve our community. We're his constituents too. Although we're also his opponents running in this election, we are his constituents. So I know for me, it really called into question his ethics as a person, and it has made me question whether or not he should be leading our town.
Yeah, and when we started this, we as a group decided that we'd try to take the high road. We think that our positions on the issues are strong enough to carry us to victory. We know that people in the town are so disappointed and fed up with the way things are that we thought we'd stick with the issues. It's more important to make a change than it is to win an argument. And that's hard for me to learn sometimes. I learned that during the last election, matter of fact. It does and it may have been a joke or whatever, but it really calls maturity into question and character into question. And I'm just going to leave it at that because I'll just leave it at that.
The only thing I'm going to say is I'm old enough and I was taught well, the more you stare it, the more it stinks. I don't have time for that.
Yeah, whether it was a joke or it was part of that group to get us to comment, whatever it was, whatever their intentions, it was deceitful. Mm-hmm. Only because it goes from using our name to his website. And, it's like Joey said, we decided as a group to begin with we were going to take the high road, even with some other issues that had come up at the beginning when we started. And
we want this election to be about the issues that the town of Waynesville is facing, not about what our opponents want to make it about or what small special groups want to prioritize to take the issue of how bad off we are and minimize that by creating a diversion. We're just not, we don't have time for that.
That's a standard playbook, folks. Look at it on the national level. It's happening right now. It happens. But we're going to stick with the issues because I think we win on the issues.
Yeah, we do.
All right, so what strategic steps, if any, are being taken or will you take to better respond to outside politically based groups that are currently in the Waynesville municipal area and those that will be coming to the Waynesville municipal community? Outside influence, how are you going to prevent it?
Here's one way you prevent it, and I do think that's a very important thing because if you listen to Van Duncan, the former sheriff of Buncombe County, being interviewed on what happened to Asheville when it changed from a nice place to what it is now. First, it was the election of the crazy, far left city council, and he said then it was when people from outside the area started to influence things, and especially political decisions. This council, not long ago, prior to this, you needed to be at least a Haywood County resident to comment during council meetings. Now you do not. You don't. You can be from anywhere. You could be from California and walk up and give your opinion on how things should be run in Waynesville. That's ridiculous. And it's because, once again, they don't win on the issues, so they'll try to play identity politics or whatever. We will, if we win the first meeting we have back, we will change that back. If you're getting up in the town of Waynesville and giving public comment, you're going to be a citizen here, you're going to be a taxpayer here, you're going to have some skin in the game here, at least in this county.
Amen. Awesome.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
Also, I want to add to that, we will be doing everything we possibly can to get the community members, the elderly, every age group to become more involved in the town politics. For years, they have been ignored, and they just accepted that. That's not acceptable. Everybody has a voice. We want to hear it.
Yeah, one thing, and I spoke about this on a Facebook Live that I did a couple weeks ago, when we've canvassed, one of the things that has really stood out to me is the apathy that people have, the voters. We go to certain neighborhoods and they're like, I haven't voted in years because nothing ever changes. It's the same people that get there and, they don't listen to us, so I don't even really pay attention. But meanwhile, their neighborhoods are falling down. They are overrun by, drugs and, vagrants in their town, and they feel like they truly have no voice. So, to your point, the other thing that I think we should do, that I know I'll do, is not accept endorsements or any kind of backing from outside political action groups. There was actually a very informative article in the Smoky Mountain News right after the last municipal election in 2019 that talked about this heavy influence in our rural mountain town of these super PACs that were falling money into these campaigns. And in that particular article, it talked about 5 different races in the rural part of our state. 2 of those were our current town council members that were backed by Down Home North Carolina, or People's Action, which is kind of an umbrella agency over the Down Home North Carolina, which had a local presence here in Haywood County. And that's a super PAC that's funded out of New York, Palo Alto, California, bigger cities. They do not share our values. And when you look at the initiatives, Down Home had a list of 2020 initiatives, and it mirrors so many of the things that our current council has tried to implement. So for me, it would just be being focused on our local citizens and not outside interest groups, whether it be in endorsements or donations or whatever.
Right. How will you protect Waynesville from the Marxist and LGBTQ+ agenda?
Well, I'll address that. I took an oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. And that oath does not expire with my retirement. I will do that. I pledge to do that. Now, this community, they deserve the additional given rights that I will fight for. They have the right to exist, live, love, play, whatever, that, just like the rest of us do. What they don't have the right to do is to force everyone else to accept that. But they must be protected. They must be given rights just like everyone else. But you can't, they, like the, I was, or I was not accused, I referred to during the fiasco at the rec center. I referred to one of the accused persons as it. Well, if you'll look up Webster's dictionary, Google it if you got your phone with you, the definition of it is the way to describe a person or thing of unknown sex. Like you see a cute baby. Is it a boy or a girl? There's nothing derogatory about that. It's just common sense. And furthermore, in this, and because I know this is going to come up, so we may as well address this while we're at it. The thing at the rec center, they jumped on that. The PD got involved, and they should have let the PD be the PD and do what they do. But they did a parallel investigation out of the town manager's office, which is, I don't know. So they targeted this individual that everybody assumes is a trans person. I'm not sure. I know this person. Peggy Hannah knows this person. I swim with this person. And that's who I was referring to. I do not know. I mean, we've never had the conversation. Hey, you know, let me look and see, what are you? I mean, you just don't do that with people. But the town had people down going over footage of her, him, whatever. I still don't know, honestly. Had footage of them going in and out, following her all around the pool area. Everybody's down there scrutinizing this person. Well, it turns out that's not even the one that they were talking about. It didn't occur at the same time. This person swims in the mornings. I swim with them in the mornings sometimes. I have offered to share a lane with them in the morning sometimes. I have sat in a sauna and talked with them after this. I apologized on behalf of myself and on behalf of this town, because this person was run through the mud, run through the ringer. They didn't do anything. I actually have never seen them go in any restroom. They come in with a wrap on, swim, put the wrap on, and leave. The town's never apologized to them. They've never apologized to Judge Scott or his kid. They've never apologized to his church. We don't need to protect the community from the LGBTQ family. Likewise, we don't need to protect the LGBTQ family from the rest of us. I've got tons of gay and lesbian friends, you know, and we've never once had the discussion, hey, you know, who do you like to sleep with? I mean, we just don't talk about that. Why make that an issue? It shouldn't be. It won't be. If I'm mayor, it won't be under my leadership.
You know, what I have to say about that, you know, because ever since the incident at the Waynesville Rec Park that, or the rec center that Joe is referring to, you know, there really has been sort of some polarization, I think, in our community, and a lot of unfair language being used. You know, I unapologetically stand for traditional family values. That is the value that I hold personally. That's not to say that I'm not respectful of other people and their decisions, but I stand firm in that. And so in standing firm in that, people will say, oh, well, you're a hater, you hate us, you discriminate. And so my action will be to reject that divisive language. Because I disagree with your lifestyle doesn't mean that I hate you or I want negative, bad things to happen. So I just reject the language that they currently use, which is to incite emotion, It's to create a reaction, it's to create this division, and so I would like to see our town kind of come back together. Everyone just wants to live here peacefully and happily, no matter your lifestyle choice. So we should all have those freedoms, but like we've said before, I don't have to agree with that, but it doesn't mean I hate you. I like you fine, and I respect your right to live how you choose. But like we've said before, we don't have to affirm that. Thanks.
All right, how do you intend to promote diversity and inclusion to ensure that all people of Waynesville, as well as those visiting, feel welcomed and accepted? And will the board be having sensitivity meetings to better understand the people they serve?
I think we've answered that.
Didn't we just addressed that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Look,
Well, I think with the sensitivity training, I know when I was with the Highway Patrol, we had diversity and sensitivity training often. I don't know for sure, but I feel like the police department, they have to go through the training and standards, and that's part of it too. So I'm sure there's some kind of sensitivity training already in place, but without being there yet, I don't know exactly what they're doing.
and look, if there's an issue, you address the issue. Like I say, we've already run through this, but our Maker and our Constitution give us the same rights. We all have the exact same rights. It doesn't vary by what group you're in. What you do as a leader, though, if somebody is violating another person's right, you take action.
Yeah.
You fix it. You straighten it out. It's not that hard. And if people need training, you get them training. And if they don't, you don't. Look, this, why do we make this so hard? That's what leadership's about. You're proactive, you're not reactive.
Yep.
Exactly.
Common sense. Yep.
What are your thoughts on this green initiative and the town only buying new equipment that is electric? Will you allow gas-powered cars and other equipment if elected?
Oh, boy.
Will I allow? I will encourage it.
Well, I'll just put it this way.
Yeah.
My opinion on an electric vehicle is, why would you buy a $300,000 trash truck
800,000.
compared to a $800,000
Yeah.
electric trash truck?
Yeah.
So that does, I mean, I don't care if it's, I don't care whose budget you're in. That does not make sense to me. And we have one that I know is pushing that issue.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that right now the way it is, that any piece of equipment or vehicle that's purchased through the town has to be electric. Am I right in that?
Yes.
That's what we've been told,
That's
yes.
what we've been told, and that can be mowers, weed eaters. Someone did share with me, and this person had firsthand knowledge of, the folks that mow the lawns down at the rec center, that they were in need of a new mower, and they were made to get an electric, large mower that was 3 times the cost of a gas-powered one. And then the biggest issue, it doesn't stay charged. So you may have an hour's charge, and then it has to be recharged. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys noticed this summer there was a lot of very high grass. And when I found this out, I thought, well, that makes sense. And so imagine how frustrating it is for town employees that are trying to just do their job, and they have to wait for their equipment to charge. And another guy came by our office, the business that I own with my husband, and was complaining that he gets called out in the middle of the night there's a limb we have to cut, and the chainsaw or whatever they're using isn't charged or is I mean, he acted like that had happened. So I feel for the town employees that are, having to actually do this work without functioning equipment, and it does cost 2 or 3 times the cost of gas powered. So
Look, if they'll let climate change drive the development
Yep.
programs in Waynesville, they're going to do this.
Yep.
Look, I'm a tree hugger of sorts myself. I guess I'm a fly fisherman. I keep bees. Look, all this is admirable things, I guess, to hope and look for. But good grief, where's their common sense? We're still prone to, look, Gatlinburg, you would think was safe from any kind of natural disaster until they had the fire a few years back. Think if all their emergency vehicles had been electrically powered. When stuff goes wrong, you better have gas, and you better have backup gas, and you better have it for days. It's just ridiculous. Now, I actually heard this in town hall and know it to be true because I was told by an official up there. We had 3 days that we could order police cars, real police cars, this year, recently. Because the big 3 automakers have quit making fleet police cars. They don't make any money off them. So we had 3 days we could order the standard Dodge Charger police cars. Well, the council sat on it, and now they've dictated that any vehicle bought needs to be an electric vehicle. Yeah. Do we really want to trust our safety in a possible natural disaster to electric vehicles? I don't think so. And it means, okay, so the police department, you're sitting there during, I've done it, you've got radar going, you've got computers going, it will run a battery down in a heartbeat. So will a charge even last a full shift? No. And if it did last a full shift, if you're changing over and handing the car to somebody else the second shift, you're going to have 2 cars for every one we've got. It's just, once again, these people that are in control now let their ideology override all common sense that you could have. It's just, it's foolish.
And that's with our taxpayer money too. Let's remember that at 2 and 3 times the cost. I do want to say, you know, when I was talking about the outside influences, the political action groups and their backing of 2 of our current council members, this particular group had this 7-page document, and under environment, one of their goals is to immediately create a climate crisis task force that will research and address what Haywood County can do to move our local economy to a zero emissions economy by the year 2030.
That's the current folks.
And we've heard that. This is their, if you read the Mountaineer and read their initiatives, it matches this. Another thing is to retrofit existing buildings with renewable energy systems and invest in building a carbon neutral local economy, moving to 100% renewable energy, retrofitting and updating existing energy grids towards renewable power sources by 2030.
In the meantime, we've got feces floating in the streets, folks, or will have because of the sewer system.
Yep.
They ignore that, but this other stuff's important. I don't think so. We're no common sense whatsoever.
Okay. Is there any truth to a rumor that Team Waynesville wants to reduce police force and budget?
Oh boy, I've actually left on my website a 4.5 minute thing. I'd encourage you to please go look at it. This, good grief, there's no bigger lies ever been told, and it was specifically that I was intent on reducing the Waynesville Police Department budget by 50%. I started my career as a Waynesville policeman. I'm a second-generation Waynesville cop. A Waynesville cop, and his salary put me through school, put food on the table, got me a start in life. How dare these people? How dare them? I go into in my website, or my little video, I go into a place called the Snug. It's my little special room where I pray, where I cry, where things. And it's full of law enforcement memorabilia. And a lot of it's Waynesville PD stuff. I am a cop through and through. Trey Franklin, you've got 2 former cops that will be a part of this group if we win. And how dare them insinuate that we would reduce the budget of the law enforcement agency? Folks, these are tactics of desperate people. They're desperate to hold on to a political job for, I don't understand it, but they are that desperate. I can assure you, I'll pledge you, I will never, ever, ever be part of anything that intends to reduce any law enforcement budget anywhere.
And I will add to that, over the years, I have been very supportive of the Waynesville Police Department and the Sheriff's Department. Love our sheriff. We were at a meeting, brought up that they did not have a night vision drone. So I immediately went to the next town hall meeting, asked them to get one for our officers, because we never know if there's going to be an elderly lost or a criminal that is a danger to the public. I went and asked them to get that for the PD. I support the PD. There's no way, absolutely no way, and I have no family that works there. I support the police 100%.
I agree.
I don't even have to comment on that.
All right. If Team Waynesville wins, will you be available to citizens, or will you be like current board members, available for a photo op or ribbon cutting only? Will you represent Waynesville or just govern?
That's a twofold question. We have to govern because that's what we are elected to do, but we will be a part. The town employees will get tired of seeing us coming up. It will get old after a while.
I'll keep regular office hours. I'm retired.
Yep.
It may not be 40 hours a week that I'll be setting up there, maybe more actually, but I will keep office hours, and they will be published and posted for people if they want to come. If they've got a grievance, if they want to talk, if they just want to come by and sit and have a cup of coffee, I will keep office hours.
Yep.
And we will answer all emails.
Yep. Calls,
That
emails,
was
texts. Yes.
a big complaint with several while we've been out canvassing, that they've had complaints. They've came up here, can't get anybody here, or they've sent them email after email, and they've never heard anything back.
I will say this, and that's been a frustration that I've had, because I have been a very vocal community member over the last few years and do reach out to our elected officials. In fairness, I do want to say that John Feichter always responds. We may not agree on things, but to his credit, he is incredibly responsive with phone calls, with emails, always. So I do want to say that, and I would like to follow that model. I mean, he's been just a really good model of that. The others never hear back when I submit an email or ask questions. Never.
I agree. John Factor has been the only one that was willing to sit down and talk with me privately many different times, trying to solve issues, but no one else really seemed to want to get on board.
Another thing, too, this reminds me of, this feels like a lifetime ago, but the homelessness task force, do you guys remember that? Which I say would have been an epic failure on the part of our town council. I'm not even sure what happened with that. A lot of money was spent. But that task force was actually, the people were not in large community members. So to get business owners and community members on that, but instead it was special interest folks that were on that, and
Yeah.
that was a failure.
I was part of that. I'm not sure, but I may have been the one that started this movement back in 2019.
Yeah.
I'll ask Peggy, what do you think, Peggy? If anybody else was on that bandwagon before me, I don't know who it is. Because when I came back and saw that, and after the election, after I lost, the homeless task force issue came up, and I was appointed to serve on it. I sat on in one meeting, and I asked just for one thing. We had goals and objectives, and it was all about the people that were homeless. It was nothing about, I said, can't we list one objective to mitigate the adverse effects that it causes to the community? And they would not include that in there. So I quit. I counted up, like of 21 members, 17 production crew with nonprofits, and there were 3 or 4 of us tokens, and they had already passed bylaws that said all decisions would be made by a majority vote. Now, they spent a year and a half. Amy Murphy Nugent was paid around close to $60,000. Part of it was a grant. I by way of Freedom of Information Act that last week, the town paid her $36,000 out of the town coffers to do this. And at the end, even people that should have been on her side were dropping out. And they made no decisions, no recommendations that stuck. Nothing. It was a year and a half of wasted time, money, energy, and just an exercise in futility. That's all it was.
Another thing too that made me think of, Joey, profits in our county, some are really great and do some wonderful things, and some just pop up out of nowhere. And our local town council has given grant money and given a lot of money to some of these nonprofits. That money's not well tracked. I can promise you that we will vet any nonprofit. If we were to ever partner with, would have to be completely vetted. I don't think that's happened. There was one individual, she kind of ran this nonprofit to place homeless people in different area hotels. And is there anything you guys want to add on that?
Yes, I will say I will never agree to partner with any nonprofit.
Yes.
Unless it is a national nonprofit.
Yep.
That is very open, that you can see where the money goes, and it actually helps the citizens.
Yeah. Again, that falls into transparency, I think.
We're over time. Do you
Okay.
guys want to answer one more, or do you want to be done?
Then you may just have a closing, maybe
Yeah,
each one.
you
You
want to make
want to close? Yeah, you want to close? Steph, you want to start?
Like
Sure.
top priorities or anything like that?
Yeah, I would say our top 3 priorities, as we've heard from the citizens, and it really mirrored the initiatives that we set out, when we first started this whole campaign, is the overdevelopment and overbuilding, the rise in homelessness and vagrancy and crime in our town, and what was the infrastructure, the homelessness and drug problems, and transparency. So those are my main 3 issues that I would like to see addressed, and we appreciate your support.
Okay, she's basically said what I intended to say, but I want the citizens and the taxpayers of Waynesville to know, if you are as sick of it as you say you are, you're looking at the change that is needed. We guarantee you there'll be a change. Furthermore, this Saturday on the courthouse lawn, Chuck Edwards, Mr. Gillespie, and Mark Pless and several others will be there right after the Apple Festival ends to do a short rally in support of us. We'd love to see you there. That's at 6 o'clock at the Haywood County Courthouse on the lawn. We appreciate every one of you. Let's hear your voice in the voting booth. It's time for a change. Let's get back our small town values and common sense. Mm-hmm. Go, Team Waynesville.
There you go. Look, I just want to say thank you to this crew up here with me. It's all of us are committed Christians. I know that may not be popular today, but that's who we are. That's where we get our guidance. There is some good news. Thanks to the work of our police department, law enforcement folks, the new figures came out for 2022 for property crimes, and it's dramatically down in Haywood County. Now, there's a reason for that. Peggy Hannah's part of that reason. I'm part of that reason. Stephanie's part of that reason. Judge Brad Letts in 2019 implemented a catch and release program basically for criminals. And the police department folks told me that they had about 20 people committing 90% of the crimes, but it was a revolving door. And this no cash bail is another one of the San Francisco ideas that we decided didn't work there, but we'd try it here. And crime soared, and in 2021 there were only 5 counties in this state that had higher property crime rates than did Haywood, and that's 5 out of 100. But thanks to Peggy, Stephanie, people like us that lobbied for that, no local officials voiced their opinion. They didn't say a word because the Superior Court judge carries a lot of weight. And if you're in the DEA's office or whatever, they can make your life miserable. But see, they don't have anything on us. And somehow they finally listened. That's a win. The law enforcement folks in this town have always done a great job in this county. Got a great sheriff, Bill Wilkie now. They were doing their job, but the system had failed them. So that's a bright spot. And we need to point that out when it's happened, and it's happened. So that's good.
I just want to say that when we decided to do this and came together as the four of us as Team Waynesville, none of us are politicians. I never even wanted to be in this part. I thought my mother was crazy because she went crazy over politics here the last several years and wanted me in it, and I was like, nope, I'm no part of this. But here I am, and here we are, and I just think we're just going to, if elected, when elected, we're going to serve this town with common sense, and we're going to try to bring back our small town values.
Yep.
And you know, we're not these big cities. We're not San Francisco. We're not New York. So we're not going to lead that way. And we just need everybody to come out and vote.
Amen.
Yep.
Early voting starts on the 19th. Election's on the 7th. Yes, sir.
Can we slide in a quick question? Bree?
Yeah, they're almost 15 minutes over, but it's up to y'all.
It's quick and important.
Why not? One, yeah.
So is there something each of you or one of you can let everybody listening or watching know, besides going and voting, what is the biggest thing we could do to help you guys win? Because I think everybody that's listening knows, like, you should win. And so we think, oh, well, I'll go vote. No. It's too important. It's not just I'll go vote. It's no, we need to help you. So tell us what we can do to help you win.
We need help getting the message out.
Yeah.
What does that look like? How do you get it out?
People are,
It means talking to your friends, your neighbors, your church members. You know, we even have folks that say, I'd talk to people in the grocery line, you know, just start bringing it up. You know, it's that important. We truly, we've said this before. I mean, we are saving our town. So anyone can, you just have to share our message.
And a community center, a church, whatever. It's hot. We will come and talk to the people.
And the link, the gentleman doing this, he said this link is going to be available.
yes, it will be available. Yes.
If you forward this link to somebody,
Yes.
and
Yes,
let them
you can
watch
share it.
That's it. That's all you need to do. That will get more votes.
Well, absolutely, and we'll have that available. He will make it available, and we'll put the link on all our web pages, all our Facebook pages. And look, we need your help. We need to get the message out.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
So, can you just think, it's over, right?
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
already
You
public.
can let it